once I saw this topic, kind of just confusing. What does it mean? So, Dr. Wafaa sent me a nice video to YouTube, and I'm sure everybody gonna enjoy it today. The effect of food for development and like thought and how the cognitive ability of the kids. Dr. Wafaa, she's a professor of pediatrics. She's also faculty at Cairo University. She worked with Bkhsh Hospital for many years, 12 years now, and we are lucky having her. So please welcome her, and we gonna enjoy for sure this 45 minutes, and after that we're gonna have a discussion with Dr. Wafaa.
Thank you, Dr. Yahya, for your nice introduction. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It gives me great pleasure to meet you today. And I want to thank the scientific committee for giving me this opportunity to discuss one of the most important subjects we are taking care of in pediatrics, which is the link between nutrition and cognition. So please fasten your seatbelts and prepare yourself for a deep dive into the relation between nutrition and cognition in children. Always I start with the references. References is the most important slide in any presentation. So I have made a copy of all the references and uploaded them on a drive. Feel free to download them and you can see it yourself, and I'm sure you will enjoy it. I start with a wisdom from William Wordsworth, who said, "The child is the father of the man." So whatever you have during childhood will affect what you are now. This is one of the conferences I like a lot. They said that there are certain species which are subjected and endangered and may be lost in our life, such as the blue whale, the spotted owl, and the whooping crane, also the green turtle, and unfortunately, the urban child, the child who is well educated, well nourished, and behaving well. Now, starting from the year 2014, we are discussing what is called the 1,000 days of life. 270 days, starting from the day of conception, followed by 365 days of the first year, and adding to them 365 days for the second year. So if you add and sum all of them, it will be 1,000 days. These 1,000 days are crucial, very important for the life of any child. So it is not all about nurturing their brain and our future with them. The first 1,000 days from pregnancy and for the next 2 years is the time period that can have a profound impact on a child's brain growth and development. So take care of their first 2 to 5 years of life and they will lead the world. The emerging field of cognition and nutrition is trying to discover ways through which nutrition can enhance brain structure, physiology, learning, and memory across lifespan. Cognition skills encompass baby's ability to think, learn, and understand. Synaptic pruning is very important. Here, I want to discuss with you 2 points. One of them, why we are saying cognition and not IQ on children. We are saying cognition because it is something dynamic. Every day the child has more experience, more ability. He can crawl, he can support his head, he can walk, he can climb stairs, he can jump on one limb, and many other things he starts to do during his life. So I cannot say this child has a high IQ or low IQ. Low IQ and high IQ is something fixed values, but we are dynamic. That's why we are using the word cognition. What about this synaptic pruning? Synaptic pruning is a gift from God. He is giving to the child every day at dawn. Many synapses and connections are formed inside his brain, starting from his childhood and up to the age of 18 years. Many synapses are formed. If we grab the chance, if we give them what they need of teaching, نحفظهم قرآن, نحفظهم أحاديث, نحفظهم whatever we want during this age, they will keep it forever because they have many synapses, and many other synapses are delivered every day at dawn. If we do not use these synapses, they will be burned, and what is called synaptic pruning. This synaptic pruning phenomena is very important, and unfortunately, it will stop at the age of 16 to 18 years of life. Please take care of these symptoms. Try your best to achieve the maximum of the intelligence of your children during this period before synaptic pruning starts. It is a gift from God. Don't waste it. So the objective of this presentation will be, we will discuss some important facts. Maybe the people who are not pediatricians will not be able to know them. And we will know definition of cognition and parts of the brain which are responsible for cognition, and epigenetics, what is meant by epigenetics, and at last the impact of nutrition on cognition, whether macronutrients, micronutrients, and multivitamins. Starting with the important figures to know about the brain growth. We have 4 miracles occurring immediately after birth. One of them is the physical growth, the other is cognition development, immune maturation, and digestive maturation. They are miracles. One of them is the growth. What happened? What is the miracle of growth occurring immediately after birth? The child who is born 3 kilograms, he will double his birth weight when he is 4 months old. He will treble his birth weight when he is 1 year old. And he will quadruple his birth weight when he is 2 years old. If he continue like that, immediately before this, he will touch the sky. What about his height? The child will acquire 30% of his height when he is 5 months old, and he will acquire 50% of the original height of birth when he is 1 year old. Very, very speedy and huge rate of growth. So what about the nutrition requirements, and what about the comparison between the adult and children? In adults, the children below 2 years of age will need 7 times kilocalories that the adult needs, 7 times. What about iron and zinc? The child will need 9 times the amount of iron which is needed by the adult, and 4 times the amount of zinc is needed by the adult. So what about the brain growth? 90%, I repeat, 90% of the growth of the child occurring within the first 5 years. During these 5 years, father and mothers are not aware, are not keen to stay long time with their children. They are opening the TV, keeping the child in front of the TV or on PlayStation. They are very happy and proud to tell me that the child for 1 year, he did not leave the house because of Corona. He did not go anywhere, and the father and mother are so proud. And at the same time, we find in USA, for example, they have submitted an official paper to the United States President telling them school has to start. School has to start. This is dangerous. This is damaging to the personality of the children and to their IQ. School has to start again. 2% of the body weight is from the brain, but oxygen consumption is 20% of the body and 25% of glucose. Huge, huge numbers. So the brain cells or neurons from the first months of fetal development, the baby is born with 100 billion brain cells. It is comparable to the number of stars في درب اللبانة اللي هي Milky Way. It is the same number of stars, huge number. Enough brain cells to learn just about anything, no more, are developed after birth. So we are born with a default number of cells, and what is dynamic is the connection between the synapses, not new cells. So I repeat again, if you achieve the chance, try your best to grab the chance and give your child during his first 5 years of age, whatever the education you are going in, other language, teaching him to play music, whatever you want to do with your child and his future, very important to be during the first 5 years of life. Most brain cells connections are made in the first year. At the age of 3 years, 80% of synaptic connections are made. Connections decline after this time at the age of 10 years. During the first 10 years of life, brain is twice as active as adults. Then gross levels of, and unfortunately, pruning develop. Pruning means trimming, burning out the unused synapses. I want to give you an example of the rate of synaptic formation during 5 years of age. You know how many synapses are formed per hour? No. Per minute? No. It is per second. 700 connection of synapses occurring during the first 5 years of age. I will add something more to you. During the first 1 month of life, the rate of synaptic connection is 7,000 per second. 7,000 per second. Huge amount of knowledge, information, connections, improvement in perception, improvement in the ability to learn during this period. That's why when the mother comes to me and telling me, Doctora, please, I want gloves for my kid to wear because he's scratching his face. That's why they advised me to wear gloves, kufuf. I tell her never to do that, because just moving the hand in space, just to see his hand, the acuity of vision of the newborn, you know what is the acuity of vision during his first month? It is 6/60. He has even some hand movement, but it is very important to him for the development of the occipital lobe. So keep the hands of the baby free. You can wear this kufuf in the evening, but not in daytime. How the nutrition is going to affect the cognition? It is through a modification of genes. Yeah, Doctora, we are born with our genes. If my father is intelligent, I will be intelligent. If the father's health is good, my health will be good, because it is ruled by our genes. No, sir, this is not correct. There are something else which is controlling our genes and the changing behavior of our genes, which is epigenetics. We will talk about it. And the other thing is the building block, which is the adequacy of macro and micronutrients, which act as building blocks. Now, what about the definition of cognition and parts of the brain which are responsible for this part? You know, we are many things enter in the definition of the cognition. For example, the attention, the perception, the memory, the language formation, and many other things, and many different parts of the body responsible for that. Maybe the one which is mention worthy is the amygdala and the limbic lobe. Amygdala and limbic lobe, what do you mean by that? the limbic system is composed of 4 main structures. Here, where we can find it. Here. It is the area which is controlling our intelligence and our memory. The hippocampus and the gyrate gyrus are also very important, and the septal area. Here is the area of the hippocampus which is responsible for memory and what is called plasticity of the brain. Plasticity of the brain, which is the ability of the brain to acquire new information and change completely its structure. Here is a video to show you how the hippocampus is dealing with new information. If you are reading something for the first time, you will find a connection, a new connection are formed in the nuclei of the hippocampus. We have 2 nuclei on 2,000 receptors. We have these green receptors which are responsible for the short memory, and the red receptors which are responsible for the long time memory. If you have read something for the first time, so the sodium influx will occur and the magnesium is still blocking the receptors of long memory. If you read it for several times and continue learning, at this time more influx of sodium will happen. This influx of sodium is so strong, so it will dislodge the magnesium with more influx of calcium. Once calcium influx happen, the long-term potentiation and memory will occur. New receptors, new protein will be formed, and new structure of brain will start. This is what's called brain elasticity, or the ability of the brain to change its structure with time, with new connection and development of new experience. Brain elasticity is the change and adaptation that result secondary to experience. The nervous system can modify its organization and ultimately its function throughout an individual lifetime. Plastic changes in neuronal circuits are likely to reflect either modification of the existing circuit or generation of new circuits. Generation of new circuits is more in young children, but we are dealing only with experience. The third one is the epigenetics influence on cognition. Do you know what's epigenetics? Epigenetics. Okay, epigenetics is a change in the behavior of gene, not related to the change in DNA sequence. Anything the baby is exposed to in intrauterine life will be affecting his whole or entire life later on. Epigenetics describe changes in gene function that are not the result of changes in the underlying DNA sequence. Nurture can result in modification of gene expression, for example, the DNA methylation. So there is an interaction between the genetics, environmental factors, especially nutrition, infection, stress, age, infection, many other things, and the epigenetics. Maybe the most classic example we are dealing with nowadays for epigenetics is Pfizer vaccination. The environment has much more impact on your health in later life than your genes. It has been estimated that at most 20% of lifelong health can be explained by inherited gene. About 80% of the diseases developing in our body during our life is related to the epigenetics. Recent studies confirm that nutrition is the most salient environmental factor. Environmental influence may modify gene expression through epigenetic mechanism, whereby gene function is altered through the process of DNA methylation. This is the most important change in the behavior of genes through DNA methylation. This is an example of what will happen during early life. This is a good mother who is taking a good position for breastfeeding of her babies. This is a red baby who is taking a good position during breastfeeding of her baby. So the baby are not in stress during feeding. That's why the receptors of corticosteroid are well functioning and the child will grow well. On the other hand, this mother is a bad mother, not taking a good position during breastfeeding. That's why her children are exposed to more stress and they are exposed to inactivity of cortisol receptors, methylation of DNA, and change in their growth pattern. So the way we are dealing with the kids, we are exposing them to stress, we are exposing them to infection, we are exposing them to fights between parents, to shouting, to many others, not going out. It's very, very important. I'm repeating here and in my clinic and everywhere, please, children must go out. Please, children must meet each other, must play with each other. What about the impact of nutrition on cognition? We have the micronutrition involved in cognition, like carbohydrates, fats, amino acids, micronutrients, and vitamins. I cannot discuss all of them because it is a very, very detailed subject. But at least we will know how the diet can change our health, our brain health, our cognition through neuronal survival, energy metabolism, neurotrophins, neurotransmission, membrane, what is called the stability of the membrane itself, many other ways that the nutrition can affect the stability of our nervous system. And at the same time, good nutrition will remove the free radicals, will decrease the cell of neuronal cell death or apoptosis, and decrease the neuroinflammation, through which we can achieve all this through the carbohydrates, the fats, the good type of fats, and the amino acids, also through vitamins, which are A, B, C, and E. I'm separating here vitamin D and folic acid because they are very important for growth. Please do not advise any mother not to take vitamin D or not to give vitamin D to her kids. It's very important. Sometimes through the internet, I don't know from where they bring this information that excess vitamin D will be harmful and will accumulate calcium in the kidneys and many other things. That's ridiculous. They have to receive adequate amount of at least 400 international units of vitamin D daily for the first 1 year of life, and double this dose during their second year of life. Choline is very important for formation of acetylcholine. Acetylcholine is very important for memory, minerals, and antioxidants. Also, pre and probiotics. This is very, very important. Maybe the most important part is this pre and probiotics, and unfortunately I don't have time to discuss it all. All this will empower our brain, starting with carbohydrates, energy metabolism of neurons and glial cells. The human brain is highly metabolically active organ. The primary source of energy in the brain is glucose. Blood glucose levels are maintained through the breakdown of liver glycogen. In energy-deprived states, the fatty acid is utilized. Glucose oxidation in the brain requires certain micronutrients such as vitamin B and specifically and mainly vitamin. Carbohydrates and development of cognition. Carbohydrates is very important for development of cognition in certain concentrations. What about the fats? If you have a mother who's coming to you and asks me, yeah, doctor, I want to give my child skimmed milk. I want to give him skimmed yogurt. What is your advice? Is it correct? Low fat. Low fat. I brought labna, ya doctora, which is low fat. Is it good for my son? What do you think? What's your advice? She is correct, or I have to change this information? Yes. I'm telling her, double cream if you have. Give him extra duhun, extra fat, please, if it is of good type, which is polyunsaturated fatty acids, as we will see. So fats and cognition development, our brains like fats. They use fat for 50% of their function. So we tend to use fat more than any other substance in the body. So fat, especially in infancy and early childhood, is essential for neurological development and the brain function. Mother's milk and infant formula supply 40 to 50% of the energy as fat. Only 2 fatty acids are known to be essential for humans. It's not important to know their names, but fats in general are important. But be careful, please. We have many other types of trans fats or bad types of fats. Here are the all types of fat. Maybe the most important of them is the polyunsaturated fatty acids here, and the monounsaturated fatty acids, or what is called omega-9. Omega-9 is the monounsaturated fatty acid, while the polyunsaturated are the DHA and the APA and ELA, as you know. We have omega-3, 6, and 9, and I think I have to tell you something very important about omega-3, 6, and 9. What do you know about omega-6? All we know that omega-3 is very important. Very important for the brain, for important for decreasing inflammation, for immunity, and for many other things. What about omega-6? I should give my son an excess of omega-6. Is omega-6 important? If one of the medical reps is coming to me and saying, Doctora, we have omega-6 also and omega-9 in our syrup and in our tablets, is this better than isolated omega-3 in the syrup? Omega-6 is competing with omega-3 in the same receptors. So there must be a balance between omega-3 and omega-6. In our Mediterranean meals, the ratio of omega-3 to omega-6 is 1 to 4, which is not good. You know, what is the ratio of omega-3 to omega-6 in Western diets? It's 1 to 10. 1 to 10. That's why we are more prone to atherosclerosis. Omega-6 is excellent as a source of energy, but it must be kept in equilibrium with omega-3. Omega-3 is very important and very nice. But we have to know that giving omega-3 for such a long period, more than 3 months, is harmful. It will cause bleeding, it will cause thrombosis, and many other side effects. So whenever you find someone who is proud that he is receiving omega-3, tell him, please, after 3 months you have to stop. Otherwise, you will get the side effects of excess omega-3. What about omega-9? Omega-9 is a monounsaturated fatty acid. It is not an essential fatty acid, by the way, but it's very important. It is available in zaytun. Available in what else? In green tea also. And many other plant sources of fats. So omega-3, as I told you before, we have the EPA, DHA are very important for the cognition, and the ELA, which is the only type of omega-3 which is of plant origin, not of marine origin. Here are what the effects of omega-3 on brain. It's very important, as we see, and it's time to move to amino acids. We have many, many important amino acids. Maybe this diagram, if you can read it, what are the important amino acids for our body? I will give you an example of that in the brain. Here is taurine, GABA, glycine, phenylalanine, and many others, and they are important as neurotransmitters. We have many important neurotransmitters in our body. For example, the adrenaline, fight or flight, noradrenaline, which is important for concentration, the dopamine, which is important for pleasure, and serotonin for stabilization of the mood, and GABA for calming, acetylcholine for learning and memory, glutamine for memory as well, and endorphin for happiness. Amino acid tryptophan. Amino acid tryptophan is very important. Maybe I like to talk about amino acid tryptophan. It is one of the essential amino acids. We have about 10 essential amino acids: isoleucine, leucine, histidine, methionine, valine, tryptophan, threonine. there are many essential amino acids. One of them is conventionally essential, and others are essential from the start. Amino acid tryptophan depends on our gut. If our gut bacteria is in equilibrium, good bacteria with bad bacteria, this will be reflected on the cycle of tryptophan metabolism, and this will lead to formation of serotonin, which is the stabilization of neurotransmitter, and formation of melatonin. Melatonin is very important for sleep. If you have good bacteria in your gut, you will have good mood, you will have good sleep. But if you are stressed, or your bacteria in your gut, you are receiving too much antibiotics, you are not taking enough good bacteria or probiotics during your daily life or from your food, at this time the cycle, not through tryptophan oxidation, it will be towards another cycle which will lead to decreased serotonin and disruption of sleeping rhythm. Here is the relation between tryptophan, serotonin, and melatonin, and here is the gut. If there is eubiosis, there will be a certain cycle for formation of 5-hydroxytryptamine, which is serotonin, and formation of melatonin. You will lead a good life. But if you are having dysbiosis or inflammation, this will lead to kynurenine cycle, which will lead to modification of platelets and urine fatty acids, and this will lead to depression. What about the aromatic amino acids tyrosine and phenylalanine? I think all of you know the effect of these two on the formation of thyroxine. Thyroxine is very important hormone for the activity and for metabolism and for our brain and cognition and many other things. Amino acid arginine, whenever you have medical reps nowadays, she is so proud that the milk is fortified with L-arginine. Why she is happy that they added L-arginine to the milk? Because L-arginine is very important for treatment of attention deficit hyperactive disorder. So they added the three famous amino acids, tryptophan, L-arginine, and lysine to the milk, because it was found to be very effective in prevention of autism and improvement in attention deficit hyperactive disorder. Here is the L-arginine, and the main importance of arginine is the formation of nitric oxide. Is nitric oxide important? Nitric oxide nourishes brain cells, very important for brain cells, and enhance their cells communication and long-term memory storage with regulation of cerebral blood flow. Now we move to amino acid methionine and homocysteine. Maybe the cardiologists know very well that high level of homocysteine will lead to formation of strokes and many other problems regarding the heart and the coronaries. So the balance between the amount of methionine and its conversion to homocysteine, and then the formation of taurine and cysteine and other amino acids is very important. The balance will be precise, will be well controlled. Otherwise, the accumulation of homocysteine is dangerous. What about amino acid glutamine? Amino acid glutamine is very important for formation of GABA. As you know, GABA is a calming neurotransmitter, and it's used now for anticonvulsions. Also, glutamine is an excitatory and is important for activities. Amino acid histidine also is important, and the glycine is important formation of what is called glutathione. Glutathione is a crucial antioxidant substance in our body. Taurine, you know taurine? Maybe I mentioned all of these because they are the new fortification for any type of milk or cereals which are available now in the market. Taurine جاية من كلمة toro. Toro هو الأقص taur, because they are very important for strength of the muscles. الإعلانات اللي بتيجي عن الحاجات اللي بتجوانح دي اللي هو الباور درينكس وكده كلها مليانة تورين. What about the micronutrients? We have the choline, as I mentioned before, acetylcholine and its effect. Selenium. Selenium is very important, and there are many selenium proteins such as glutathione, peroxidase, and many other things. Selenium is very important, and it has a metalloid element important for cognition. What about lutein? Lutein is important for the retina, as all of you know. And natural vitamin E. Try your best to give your children natural vitamin E, not synthetic form, because synthetic form of vitamin E has bad reputation. It is not as effective as the natural vitamin E. The antioxidants. Antioxidants are very important for the health and for removal of inflammatory cells, for the free radicals, and very important, this antioxidants. I'm giving you examples of the famous antioxidants you can give to your children to improve their cognition. For example, اللي هي الاريان sulfur compounds like الليكس اللي هو كرات والأونيون والجارليك والايج بلانت اللي هو الباذنجان وجريبس اند بيريز، البيتا كاروتين في البامبكنز والمانجوز اللي بيقدر يجيبه يعني، والكبر موجود في السي فود واللين ميت، الفلافونويدز موجود في الجرين تي وفي السيترس فروتس، الاندولز موجوده طبعا في برضه السيترس الفروتس والفيجيتابلز، المانجانيز في السي فودز، البوليفينولز are very important by the way موجودين في الزعتر الثايم والاوريجانو، السيلينيوم موجود في السي فود، الفيتامين اي موجود في الليفر والبوتيتو، فيتامين سي موجود في الاورنج والكيوي، الفيتامين اي موجوده في الفيجيتابل اويلز، وفي الاخر الزنك في السي فود واللين ميت والميلك والنتس. So when you are planning to go to the supermarket to buy some stuff for your family, please don't encourage the child to eat anything your great grandmother wouldn't recognize as food. حاجات الأمهات ما كانوش عارفينها زمان. Don't encourage your child to eat them. Most probably they are processed food. Also, don't force him to eat much food, and make sure that he eats plenty of plant source of food. Yani try your best to give your child a human processed food, not a machine processed food. Let him eat anything with more than, don't let him eat anything with more than 5 ingredients or ingredients that you cannot pronounce. لحسن تجيب حاجة غلط الله يخليك. Don't offer him food that won't eventually rot. يعني اللي تجيب شيبسي والحاجات اللطيفة اللي بيجيبوها ديت وتروح تقولي أصلها أنا بجيب له الحاجات اللي محفوظة علشان ما تبوظش، الحاجة اللي ما تبوظش لو سمحت ما تجيبهاش لأولادك لأنها فيها preservatives. Don't shop in the middle of the grocery and better shop at the perimeter. تعرفوا ليه؟ يعني اللي بيروح للمركز بقى بتاع السوبر ماركت ده المكان اللي بيبقى فيه الإعلانات. ف all advertisement TV shows will show you processed food, not natural food. So if you want natural food هيكون على الجوانب عند الغلابة على أطراف السوبر ماركت. Don't reward your child with fats or candies. You are changing his life this way. So how can we give gifts to our children? By making him the leader of the house even for 1 hour. You are the one who will choose the food. You are the one who will choose where we will go next Friday. You are the one who will choose something. This is very important appreciation for the child, and at the same time it will give self-confidence. One last thing I want to say before I leave here. Please try your best not to listen to any mother who's asking you to give any sleeping medication for the child. The more duration the child is awake, naturally awake, the more intelligence he will have. But if you insist your child will sleep by medication, phenysteal drops يا دكتورة علشان I have work tomorrow and I want phenysteal drops. Don't listen to that mother. Any doctor or pediatrician who is giving something to make child sleep, whatever the reason, is a criminal. One more thing. Before, dry water in Egypt was containing chloral hydrate, and here was containing something like wine. Starting from the year 2014, they stopped using it because they cause increased sleep duration of children, which is a crime to make child sleeping for a long time. So if it is natural sleep, it's a healthy sleep. But if you are forcing the child to sleep, this is a crime. So don't listen to the mothers who are requesting any sleeping medication for you. One more thing, if the father and mother are sharing in taking care of the child from day one of his birth, this child will be more good personality, he is confident, he is intelligent. So the fathers who are leaving the children to the mother and he is waiting the child to be big to go with to the mosque with him, this is father who doesn't know how to deal with these little creatures. I want to finish with what is said, it is easier to build strong children than to repair broken men. Thank you very much.
I really enjoy it. Thank you so much. Anyone has a question about the topic of the lecture? No, yes.
Did you understand all of this?
Honestly, I have a lot of questions. So you just said that our water, they have something like wine?
Yes,
Oh.
dry.
Okay.
أنا كنت بشربها كثير وأنا صغير ما تبالي.
عشان كده كلنا نايمين.
والله كان بيظبط الدماغ unfortunately from 2014 until now. Saudi women in particular, I bought dry water from Egypt. They think they are still selling the same wine in the Egyptian dry water. It's the same like here.
Thank you, Dr. for this very informative and interesting lecture. You gave us the advice that we should give natural food for our children, mostly in general, mostly plant-sourced food. What do you think the impact of the new methods of agriculture, like hydro-agriculture, in which the plants are grown only on a multi-story building in which there are tubes and water is circulating and there is only the sunlight? My own impression is that these plants themselves are deprived of nutrients, so how can they provide nutrition to us and to our children? But it is spreading out. Now? No, nothing, only water and sunlight on tubes. But it is spreading like wildfire everywhere in China, in America. Now these farms are growing and they are making tremendous money. Do you think they will have impact on nutrition? Hydro-agriculture. No land. Multi-story agriculture.
Maybe somebody heard about this type of
Do we have questions from the people online?
Yes, they say thank you very much for the informative lecture.
Okay. I'm wondering if CAPSA has any positive impact on our kids or not.
Yeah.
Like I heard a lot of things and none about CAPSA. Why? I heard a lot of good things except about CAPSA.
I don't know what's the name of CAPSA in English. What's the name of CAPSA in English?
So yeah.
The rice and
Now-
meat.
Rice and meat.
If you allow
Meat
me.
is important, rice is important.
If you allow me, now our kids during COVID, we are very limited to get them out, and there is no school, and they have a very unusual schedule. Not only my kids, I think it's everywhere. People they sleep in the day and they wake up in the night. in that kind of hectic schedule. What's your advice, Dr. Wafa, of dealing with kids during this?
Right away. It's very important
Yeah.
question, and I have this question in my clinic nearly on a daily basis. How to adjust the sleep of our children, starting from day one. Just listen to what I am going to say. Children have to know that there is something called night and something called day. How I can teach them this? During daytime, even while the child is still newborn, there must be noises, light, singing from the mother, and once the night will come, complete quietness. Don't give any noises, dim light, no TV. Don't talk to even your husband in a loud voice. Just by 2 months of age, this child will know the difference between daytime and nighttime, and he will start to sleep at night. And he will be awake if there is light and if there is what is called إزعاج يعني أصوات عالية وحاجات زي كده. الحاجة الثانية, if the mother wants her baby to sleep well, don't give any treatment of colics during the day. Keep treatment of colics for night.
There is a question for Dr. Mohsen.
Yeah.
Dr. Mohsen, can you open your mic, sir, doctor? Okay, doctor, can you, hello?
أيوة سمعت دكتور محسن.
هو السؤال اللي دايما بنسأله في العيادة من فترة وفات، ايه نوعية الأكل اللي يتاكل للطفل بيشجع أكتر على الذكاء وعلى التركيز؟
What are the nutrition that? Yeah. بتقول لك هي الليكشن نفسها دكتور. In a very simple way, what's your advice in very simple way?
حاجة من الحاجات اللي دايما أنا بنصح بيها الأمهات, الله يخليكي, اتأكدي إن ابنك أو بنتك ما عندوش حساسية البينات والمكسرات. اتأكدي إنه تعمليها بودرة وتحطيها على كل أكل من أكل ولادك. إزاي تدخلي البروتينز بشكل صحيح في الشهر الصحيح, طبعا له محاضرة ثانية إزاي ندخل الأكل صح بشكل on a daily basis. And every mother has to ask herself 4 questions every day. اديت لابني بروتين, وايه نوع البروتين, سواء كان بيض, سواء كان حليب, او سواء كان نوع من البروتينات اللي موجوده في السمك او البيض او كده. This is the first question. اديت لابني جرينز ولا لا, سواء كانت شوفان is very important على فكره, سواء كانت شوفان او كانت قمح او كانت رز. السؤال الثالث, اديت لابني فواكه ولا لا, وخصوصا قلب الفاكهه مش العصير. والسؤال الرابع, اديت لابني خضار ولا لا. لو الام سالت نفسها ال4 اسئله دول, تاكدوا ان الطفل ده هيبقى ويل نارش والاي كيو هتبقى عاليه.
We have to stop here.
The whole lecture aims at building a healthy person mentally and physically. In stressful world, the mother and father mostly are working, junk food, so on.
And noisy city as well.
Very, very difficult.
Yes, it will control our epigenetics. That's what is meant by epigenetics. Stress, trans fats, and lack of attendance of a loving father or mother. في ابلكيشن موجود على النت, كم مرة حضنت ابنك النهارده؟ على فكرة الكلام ده والله العظيم ما هو كلام نظري. المفروض ان احنا الاطفال المشاعر اللي بيحسوها يحسوا بابوهم وامهم معاهم, يشوفوا وشهم على طول, هم اللي يهتموا بيهم, هم اللي يغيروا لهم, هم اللي يتكيروا في them. بتفرق السما من الارض. ما يبقاش الام بس هي اللي بتعمل الوظيفه دي او الاب بس هو اللي بيعمل الوظيفه دي. المفروض هما الاثنين يعملوها. الاب الطفل لازم يشوف وش الاب وش الام.
يا ريت الأم ده شغالة.
ليت الام موجوده في البيت.
whenever there is a diaper rash there is شغاله والله. whenever there is a diaper rash there is a شغاله changing the diaper. Even
in some nurseries they are forcing the child على الفينستيل دروبس وعلى بعض الادويه، واكيد كلكم سمعتوا من الجرايم اللي بتحصل في كده، هو ان هو وانس العادي بيدخل الحضانه بيدوا له دواء انتي هيستامينيك عشان ينام طول اليوم. علقوا كاميرات، كل اب وام فيكم يعلق كاميرا لو عنده شغاله، لو بره البيت لو سمحتوا يعلق كاميرا، والكاميرا ديت تبقى نيكد تو هيز موبايل علشان يعرف ابنه بيتعمل فيه ايه، نايم ولا صاحي، الديلي لايف بتاعت ابنه شكلها ايه. لو كانت الكاميرات مهمه علشان السرقه وما شابه هي اهم لو عندك طفل وخرجت انت ووالده بره. شكرا.
Thank you so much.